Alrighty. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Saturday live stream for the 2023 fantasy football season, week 13. Yes, we are here in week 13 answering any and all questions you guys have. Be sure to go ahead and when you guys send in a question, whether it's via super chat or the live stream chat, be sure to include your scoring format. Scoring format, whether it's a standard, half PPR, full PPR, 6 point per passing touchdown, 4 point per passing touchdown. The more context I have, the easier it is going to be able to traverse some of these questions and get to the most accurate answer possible. I do appreciate you guys joining us this morning. Welcome. Hope you guys are all doing well on this beautiful Saturday. Of course, college football is already kicked off. A lot of great games already today. Yesterday, there was a ridiculous game last night between Oregon and Washington to close out the final, I guess, Pac-12 championship. Considering that division is going to be dissolved, I suppose. But either way, hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. The fact of the matter is, in majority of the situations, the questions you guys ask me as of today, we're not 100% certain as to some of the injury-related ones. We know that there is a Monday Night Football game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and Cincinnati Bengals. In that game, of course, there's Travis Etienne. That's why I have him on the thumbnail. Many of you were concerned about his potential of potentially missing. We got a designation in terms of today and yesterday in terms of limited practices due to the rib injury. There's most likely going to be a situation where he plays, right? But again, like I've mentioned over the course of this entire week, it is extremely vital to make sure that we have our most valuable running backs, our blue chip running backs, handcuffs on roster, especially as we approach the fantasy football playoffs. And there's a potential in which these players could end up missing for us. Either way, let's get into answering questions, shall we? Hope you guys are doing well. Let's begin with the first question sent in from JK, who says, in a full PPR, flex one, Pickens, Brian Robinson, or London, Atlanta or San Francisco defense. Okay, so San Francisco plays against Philadelphia. I don't really have an interest in playing their defense this week in comparison to Atlanta, who takes on Tim Boyle and the Jets offense. So I'll take Atlanta's defense there first and foremost. The other question that you had in regards to a full PPR flexing one of those three options, again, George Pickens hasn't shown much consistency at all. Even in last week's game, there wasn't enough of a opportunity share for me to feel confident about it. Sure, he will always have the potential of taking a pass to the house and scoring a touchdown and pretty much making his week on one singular play. He's like a Christian Watson in that overall capacity. He's just not given enough opportunity to be able to take advantage of that on a consistent basis. So, not really interested in playing George Pickens. As for Brian Robinson, again, the game script, not the greatest, but again, I do expect this offense for the Washington Commanders to be able to move the ball against the Miami Dolphins a considerable amount. And then you have Drake London against the toughest matchup possible, taking on the New York Jets secondary. Between the three of them, I'd probably end up playing Brian Robinson. Thank you, JK. Man, if it wasn't for the fact that last week against the Dallas Cowboys, Sam Howell pretty much kept that QB speed option rushing attempt for a touchdown, we would have had ourselves easily double-digit points for Brian Robinson. Thank you. Let's see here. Andrew Pacina sends in a question. Andrew says in this, Christian McCaffrey for Dak Prescott and Jahmyr Gibbs. Full PPR 10 team, I have Goff as my quarterback. Damn. Are we willing to give away a 20? Okay, let's see here. In a full PPR scoring format, 4 points per passing touchdown. Of course, Dak Prescott has been unbelievable as of late. But let me see the comparison between like a Christian McCaffrey and, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs. So McCaffrey in a full PPR, kind of damage are we doing as of late? 30, 21, 20, 29, 22. So you're going to give away a 20 to 30 point player every single week. And then you're going to get a running back that is in a committee/rotation, in which, sure, he's playing the majority of the overall offensive snaps, but he's not getting the majority of touches. Last 3 weeks, 26, 21, and 11. Under the assumption that we're not going to have these 11-point weeks, and it's going to be far more consistency from a Jahmyr Gibbs, which I think it'll be based on the overall upcoming matchups being, potential shootouts here. Under that assumption, I'm perfectly fine with the trade. Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing. When I'm looking at the two, like McCaffrey, Goff very rarely is going to have himself 4 touchdown games. on the other side, we have Dak Prescott doing it every week here. So when the name of the game is touchdowns, I think there's a very difficult conversation to be had here, but I would assume that if Jahmyr Gibbs can put 15 to 20 on the board every week and Dak's going to continue to do his 25-point damage, it's probably going to be an even trade because Christian McCaffrey is going to do his 25-point damage and Goff is going to put up his 15. So really, you're kind of just swapping. I mean, even though you're not trading away Goff in this circumstance, you're pretty much just substituting the points for an alternative because you're still going to get the same volume of points. It's just from different sources pretty much at this point. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from I'm Gucci, who says, PPR start 2. Okay, let's see here. What do we have here in a PPR? Godwin. I don't think Godwin's going to play this week. He's dealing with a neck injury. And if I'm not mistaken, let me check the injury report one more time just to make sure nothing has changed in that overall regard. Let's go to Buccaneers. Where are we at? Chris Godwin did not practice on Friday. So there is a pretty high likelihood that he doesn't play. He could end up playing, but I'm not sure if I want to trust him with the injury. If in fact he perhaps re-aggravates it during the game, that could be very, very impactful for our fantasy success this week in a negative way. As for Pickens or Singletary, like I was mentioning with George Pickens earlier, doesn't get enough of a volume of opportunity. Singletary, I'm not mad at. I think that's probably the best play out of the three. Gets himself the receiving utilization when needed within this organization, and of course is the primary lead running back in terms of attempts, and will probably continue to be the same, especially in a great matchup taking on the Denver Broncos defense, who obviously cannot stop the run as of late. As for your follow-up question, Colts, Browns, or Buccaneers defense? Okay, let's think about this. So between these three teams, the Colts take on the Titans. It's always going to be a great matchup, considering, of course, the lack of consistency that we have there from Will Levis. Tampa Bay taking on Carolina, and Tampa Bay is at home. The thing about Tampa Bay, though, typically, every time a coach is fired in the National Football League, there's a really high percentage of the following game after the head coach is fired, that team ends up pulling out a victory. So there's a chance that, the Carolina Panthers could push this to the limit. When we look at the last couple seasons of, head coach firings, the week after, man, these teams really turn it up. And what was the final defense that you had potentially that you were considering? The Browns taking on the Rams. I don't really love the Browns in this circumstance. If it's between the three of those, I probably end up playing the Colts defense and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers second and the Browns third. Thank you. But those first two, Tampa Bay and, of course, the Colts, considering the opposing teams they're taking on, the rookie quarterbacks, they're both great plays either way. Thank you. Trojan 3659 sends in a question. Thank you, Trojan. Says, greetings, Andrew. In a half PPR, trust Achane or start Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams versus the Texans in a committee situation, on top of the fact that the Texans have played really well in terms of stopping the run, I would probably... Damn. Look, here's the issue, right? I don't know how much volume they're going to give Devon Achane. They could give him 6 touches, he gets 60 yards, and that's it. And he's done. Like, it's just safer at this point to just play a guy like Javonte Williams, knowing that he's fully healthy. He's going to get himself a wide share of opportunity in the last 5 weeks. As a member of the Denver Broncos backfield, he's commanded, 75% of the rushing attempts, 42% of the overall targets, and 55% of the overall fantasy points out of the backfield. I'd probably just lean in his direction for now, especially considering Devon Achane hasn't even had a full participation of practice yet. He's been limited in the last 2 weeks. So he's not at a full capacity to where I can meaningfully say, yes, he's healthy, and without a doubt, he won't be limited. I can't objectively say it at the moment. So I lean towards Javonte. Thank you. Amato, Britain, sends in a question, says, full PPR, flex, Swift, Achane, or Olave, if healthy. Okay. In a full PPR, if Olave is healthy, I'd like to have him in on my team. Yeah, especially against the Detroit Lions. The Lions are giving up, the 5th most points to opposing wide receivers since week 5. They can't stop wide receivers. They're incredible against the run, and because of that, they've become a passing funnel in their secondary, of course, because of all the injuries that they've incurred over the course of the season, in their, whether it's safety or whether it's cornerback. So between those three, I would want to play Chris Olave. Then second, I'd play Swift. Third, I'd play Achane. Thank you, Amato. Appreciate it. Moving on to Nick's question, who says, pick 3, full PPR, Kyren Williams, Derrick Henry, Jaylen Warren, David Montgomery. Damn. Okay, so I think all 4 of these players could end up being the best within the given group. You have to play Kyren Williams, especially going against the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns secondary is incredible. Their run-stop defense isn't, in terms of yards per carry on average, allowing over 4.5 to opposing running backs since week 5. And of course, Kyren Williams coming off a huge week. He'll continue to get opportunity on the ground through the air. He's pretty much a solidified play there. As for Derrick Henry, Montgomery, I think they're pretty much similar players. They're both going to somewhat have like 15 to 17 rushing attempts in those opportunities. It's just a matter of, can they fall into the end zone? They both have great matchups. Derrick Henry has the better one. And obviously Derrick Henry doesn't have to deal with the fact that, Jahmyr Gibbs is in the backfield. He only has to deal with Tyjae Spears, which is of course less threatening in that overall experience. But from what we've seen in comparison to these 2 offenses as a whole, the Lions offense is just more dependable. Like we know for a fact thus far this season, as long as David Montgomery has been healthy and in the game, except, obviously the game in which he left early against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he has scored a touchdown in every single game. There's a reason why, like, as of late, in terms of fantasy production, if I'm not mistaken, Montgomery's been, I think, like 14 plus fantasy points each of the last 3 games and a half PPR. It's 15 plus. It's 17.6, 16.8, 15.1. Like, that kind of consistency of production, even though it doesn't have as much upside as we'd like it to have, he could always score 2 touchdowns. It's not out of the realm of possibility. So yeah, for me, between those 2, I'll probably take Montgomery. Between Derrick Henry and Warren, because of Najee Harris's existence, I'll probably just go Derrick Henry there. I think Warren could very easily be a top 12 running back this week. It's just, is he going to find the end zone? When they get down to the goal line, when they have those opportunities, are they going to give it to him objectively? And I don't know if that'll be the case. So for right now, I'll take Kyren, I'll take Henry, and I'll take Montgomery. Thank you. And that's even in a full PPR. Like, Jaylen Warren, maybe he catches 2-3 passes. Like, it's not a huge difference maker. It's not like an Alvin Kamara who has the potential of catching the ball 10 to 15 times in a given week. You never know. Bale Kim says, what's up? Okay, Bale. Sounds good. I don't have that great of a memory, but I appreciate it. Thank you, man. Josh Sherman says, Garrett Wilson or Christian Watson? Yeah, I'll take Garrett Wilson there. Here, the difficulty about Christian Watson in specific is the fact that he takes on Kansas City. That Kansas City defense will really shut down any number 1 wide receiver. I mean, they did it last week, right? They absolutely shut down. I mean, I wouldn't say that they completely shut down Devontae Adams, but they did enough to where it was, a less exciting performance from him. So for right now, yeah, I'll lean towards Garrett Wilson between those 2. All right, let's see here. As you guys have, slowly but surely trickled in, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well on this Saturday. We'll be here for the next, hour and 45 minutes answering questions. So, of course, do not worry. Do not spam in the chat. I'll try to get to every single question to the best of my ability. Couple reminders before we continue on. As we progress throughout today's, start and sit Q&A, I'll be answering questions. Be sure to go ahead and include your scoring format along with your question, half PPR, full PPR, standard, all that kind of jazz. We greatly appreciate more context. On top of it, at the, kind of midway to halfway, probably in the second hour, I'll be putting together a couple pick'em slips via Underdog Fantasy. Again, if you guys want my rankings tomorrow morning and every single Sunday morning for the rest of the season, and of course, Saturday mornings, weeks 15 and 16, be sure to check out the link down in the description. Sign up using code Andrew. Make that first time deposit minimum of $10. You'll get those rankings sent to you from my email directly to yours every single Sunday morning for the remainder of the season. By position, by tier, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, defense, flex, half PPR, full PPR. If you guys are interested, take advantage of the opportunity. And of course, continue on with our hot streak of potential, pick'em slips that we put together last Saturday, last Friday. Those pick'em slips we put together, they did really well. There was a couple that missed, but hey, the vast majority, I think I was just off of like $10 plays. I think I was like plus 280. It was a ridiculous week last week, to say the least. But either way, that's what we'll be doing in the second half of the show. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Okay. Getting back to answering some of these questions. Ali H says full PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Cooper, London, Hall, Spears. All right. Cooper, London, Hall, Spears. Okay. So Amari Cooper, as you guys, for those of you who have seen the Hidden Gems episode that came out yesterday, I'm very fond of his potential this week in comparison to pretty much, I mean, of course, Spears, but definitely over London. So I'll play him at the wide receiver 1 spot that you need there, Ollie. As for your flex, I'd play Breece Hall there in the hope that he'll probably haul in, you know, for lack of a better term, haul in like 7+ catches just like he did last week. And if it's in a full PPR, he'll make his entire day off of that kind of production. So yeah, I'll take Cooper and Hall there. Ollie, thank you. Let's see here. Just Chrome says, one flex, full PPR, Jamar Chase, Javonte Williams, or Devon Achane. I'd love to be more confident in Devon Achane. Listen, if you want to take the risk of playing him, guys, it does not bother me in any sort of circumstance at all. So it's just a matter of, can we anticipate Javonte Williams outscoring Jamar Chase? Jamar Chase takes on Jacksonville. I would assume that the Cincinnati Bengals offense would be a little bit more improved. They do get backed T. Higgins. Between the two of them, I'd probably end up just playing Javonte Williams for now. I'll probably take Javonte out of the 3. The issue that I have with Jamar Chase, I mean, he'll probably end up being like a solid 10+ points, but I think Javonte has more opportunity share in that overall circumstance, probably ends up outscoring him. So yeah, I'd probably go Javonte, Jamar, Achane in that order. Thank you. Let's see here. Bucks are elevating a wide receiver this game. Seems like Godwin won't play. Yeah, that's kind of the assumption, but I appreciate the update there, Nolo and Low. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Michael Barton sends in a question. Says, full PPR, Marquise Hollywood Brown. I don't even know if he's going to play, first and foremost, right? He didn't practice all week. Now, he didn't practice all of last week either, near the back end of the week. But, again, we just have to keep that in mind. Dortch, Taysom Hill for the flex. If I'm playing... Okay. Let me think about this for a second. If, in fact, Marquise Brown plays, he would be the starter out of the 3. If he doesn't play, you play Greg Dortch. Yeah, I think Taysom Hill is a solid play, but in a full PPR scoring format, when you have the alternatives of a Greg Dortch who could very easily catch the ball 8 times in a singular game, same thing with Marquise Hollywood Brown. When you have these kind of players in their matchup, probably throwing the ball for the majority of the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's very difficult to go with the side of Taysom Hill unless we had a guarantee for touchdown upside. So for right now, yeah, if Marquise Brown plays, I'll start him. Otherwise, pivot to Greg Dortch. Thank you. As for your follow-up question there, Michael Barton says, I have CeeDee Lamb. I have Tony Pollard. Great. They've played well. Javonte Williams and McBride as my tight end. I have Hurts as my quarterback. My number 2 tight end is Otton or Brevin Jordan this week. Yeah, I'd rather have Otton than Brevin Jordan starting. I know that Brevin Jordan has a really advantageous matchup against the Denver Broncos. I just don't know if I can trust Brevin Jordan. A couple of years ago, he was relevant for fantasy purposes throughout a short stretch of time. But outside of that, there's really hasn't been much noise out of Brevin Jordan in the last couple seasons. So I would assume that his talent isn't really up to the echelon of someone of, kind of Cade Otton's stature that probably get more opportunity within the given week. As for your follow-up question to that one, number 3, Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp. I mean, at this point, I'd probably just play Puka Nacua. Amari Cooper. I keep saying Cooper as soon as I see Cooper. Cooper Kupp most likely is going to get back on track, but I don't know if it's this week because I really just do not like the matchup going up against Denzel Ward. Thank you. Bruce Cowdrey sends in a question, says, your thoughts on Dortch's role this week? Also, pick one full PPR. Okay, so Dortch's role this week will most likely be the same as it was the last 2 weeks. He's going to play on the outside about 75% of the time. He'll have a couple sprinkles of opportunity within the slot position. He'll be predominantly targeted within the slot position, but they're going to keep him as an outside wide receiver, pretty much filling in for Michael Wilson. So, I mean, he's probably going to get himself very close, number of targets that he's had as of late. The last 2 weeks, 9 and 8, 17 total. As long as that's going to continue to be the case, definitely going to be a primary target within this offense. I know that they have the James Conner revenge game. I don't know how much that offensive line is going to be able to hold up in comparison to that run-stop defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That since, of course, Cameron Hayward has returned from his injury, I think they're only allowing like 3.15 yards per attempt to opposing running backs. Pretty tough matchup. So don't really love the running game or the running aspect of the Arizona Cardinals outside of Kyler Murray, but for right now, I think Greg Dortch in a pretty good spot this week. As for your follow-up question, Bruce, also pick one in a full PPR, Deebo Samuel or Jahan Dotson. Yeah, it's for sure Deebo Samuel. Finally, thoughts on Brevin Jordan. replacing Schultz. Oof. Again, the matchup's incredible against the Denver Broncos. Don't get it twisted. Like, the Denver Broncos really, they've struggled against opposing tight ends. Just giving you like context as to how much they've struggled against opposing tight ends as of late. David Njoku, 6 catches, 59. The week prior, Josh Oliver, 4 catches, 47 and a touchdown in that same game. TJ Hawkinson, 4 catches for 55. The next game before that, Dalton Kincaid, 5 catches, 51 and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 6 catches, 58. Like, they'll give up 50 receiving yards to a tight end if the tight end is, going to get himself incorporation. I know that the Houston Texans want to get at least one tight end, a lot of utilization within this offense. They run a lot of 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers. With Noah Brown coming back, I think there's going to be less target opportunity for Brevin Jordan. He'll probably be in that like top. I mean, considering there's no Jake Ferguson left, he could probably be in that like top 18 conversation. I just don't know if I'm starting him, even in the replacement of a guy like Dalton Schultz when someone like Juwan Johnson's potentially out there. The Figure Report says, Downs, Rice, or Garrett Wilson in boring standard format. Okay. In a boring standard format, I can't trust playing Josh Downs there, even though I do like the matchup against Tennessee. Garrett Wilson or Rashee Rice. Between the two of them, I think it depends on the injuries for the Green Bay secondary. If they're going to be missing a couple guys in the back end once again this week, I'd probably play Rashee Rice. Otherwise, I'd go with Garrett Wilson. We won't know until tomorrow's active/inactive list as to who on that Green Bay Packers secondary is going to be available for them. So we'll know that by probably, I'd say 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, Pacific Standard Time. Once we have kind of an indication as to what that secondary looks like. Actually, no, it's a Sunday night game, so we won't know until way later that night. So at that point, we just play Garrett Wilson. Yeah, never mind. I had to loom that through my brain just to figure that out. Okay, Brent Shin sends in a question. Says, Goff or Murray this week? I'm fairly certain I put up quarterback rankings earlier this week. Between the two of them, I'm fairly certain I had Kyler Murray ahead of Jared Goff. Yeah, I have Kyler Murray as my number 10. I had Jared Goff as my number 11. So I'll still take Kyler Murray in that circumstances. You said a lot of places have Murray ranked higher, but he faces a tougher defense. Yeah. With less weapons. Yeah. And the RB scares me for Goff's potential. Yeah, that's the only thing that scares me for Goff. Like I mentioned it earlier this week on our quarterback rankings video. Goff is always going to have the threat of Gibbs and Montgomery scoring all the touchdowns within a given week. It's always going to be a looming threat. I mean, obviously this season it hasn't taken place far more often than not in which he's been impacted that way. But the reason why I prefer Murray is I know he's going to throw the ball for the majority of the game. Even with lesser talent around him, they'll still be able to move the ball. I mean, they're professionals. And of course, he has the rushing upside of always scoring a touchdown and sort of getting yardage there. So in those circumstances, I'll just slightly lean in the direction of Murray. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from, let's see here. Namikaze says, full PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, Amari Cooper, Marquise Hollywood-Brown, Jerome Ford, Greg Dortch. Man, you wanted to make it very difficult on me today, huh? Between those 4, okay, let's see here. If Marquise Brown plays in a full PPR, I'd probably play Marquise Brown alongside of Amari Cooper. If he does not play, I'd probably end up going Amari Cooper and Jerome Ford there. Thank you. Moving on to Matt, whose question is full PPR, start 1, Cooper. So Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase. I'm over the name value. Yeah, as am I. Between the 3, I think I'm actually going to play Amari Cooper this week. Thank you. Pat M says PPR, start 2. A.T. Perry, Greg Dortch, Jalen Guyton, or Elijah Moore. In a PPR scoring format, I'd probably end up playing Greg Dortch alongside. I mean, do I want to play Jalen Guyton against New England? No, not really. I don't really want to play A.T. Perry either. I think I'd probably go Elijah Moore and Greg Dortch. So those will probably be the highest ranked players on tomorrow's morning's rankings. Again, do not forget, guys, tomorrow morning I'll be live here on the channel from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll have updated rankings on screen in regards to top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, tight ends, top 12 kickers and defenses. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Sven Dragon sends in a question. Sven says, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 2 flex options in a 0.25 PPR scoring format, 6 points per touchdown. Cup, Puka, Brees, Ford, Garrett Wilson, Deontay Johnson, and Josh Downs. Okay. 0.25 per reception. In that kind of a format, the RB1 that I play out of this group is most... let me think about this. If I'm not getting any points per reception, I probably end up playing Jerome Ford there over Brees Hall based on just total yardage that he'll probably accumulate within that game. So Jerome Ford would be the RB1. As for the wide receiver one, it probably ends up going with Garrett Wilson. As for your flex options, I'd probably end up playing... Do I feel more comfortable with Deontay Johnson over those guys? Probably. Let me check my rankings. I don't think so. I don't know if Deontay Johnson's the play in comparison. Yeah, I probably roll with Puka and Cup there. Yeah, in your circumstance, it's probably Ford, Wilson, Cup, and Puka, but that's rough, man. But yeah, I don't want to play Josh Downs in a 0.25 PPR. I don't really want to play Deontay Johnson in a 0.25 PPR. And I don't really want to play Cup or Puka either. So it's just kind of you're in a tough spot. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going with. Ford, Wilson, Cup, Puka. They're the lesser of the four evils, I suppose. Let me see here. We had a couple reports that came in. Marcus Callaway has been elevated to the active roster. Could be because Chris Olave might miss. Okay, very well. Keep it moving. Peter sends in a question. Says PPR, Warren or Ramondre? Good one. That is actually a good one. If it's a full PPR, I'd probably go with Ramondre. In a half PPR, I'd probably lean towards... you know what? Let me think about this. No, in both half and full PPR, I'd probably lean towards Ramondre Stevenson. He's just been far too efficient as of late. I understand that Warren has a significantly better matchup. I'd probably just lean towards Ramondre there. Let me go check my rankings just to... Let's see here. Ramondre... Yeah. I'd go with Ramondre over both. Or sorry, not both. Over Warren. Thank you. Appreciate it, Peter. Adam Amar sends in a question. Says, start Freeman, Pierce, Mitchell, Kelly, or P. Ryan. I'd probably end up playing Freeman or P. Ryan between the two or between the bunch. Between those two, what do I have ranked higher? I have Royce Freeman there, Samaje P. Ryan there. Yeah, so I have Royce Freeman ranked highest out of the bunch. So go Freeman 1, P. Ryan 2, Pierce 3, Kelly 4, Mitchell 5. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. Trench Mob says, would you drop Marquise Hollywood Brown for Amari Cooper? That's a really good question. I have to look at the Cleveland Browns schedule upcoming. So their upcoming schedule is against the Jaguars, Bears, Texans, and Jets. Marquise Brown is only just getting... Look, here's the thing. I think rest of season, Marquise Brown, if he's healthy for the remainder, is going to be the better prospect because of his overall upcoming matchups. And he'll be the number one, without a doubt. And I kind of have an idea as to what the commodity of Kyler Murray can produce with a number one wide receiver in comparison to Joe Flacco, who's just kind of like a shot in the dark as of right now. He could end up coming out and throwing 4 picks. We don't know. So for right now, I'd say no. You keep it as is. Keep Marquise Hollywood Brown. If there's any alternative options you have to potentially swap away from that, sure. But for right now, I just keep Marquise. Thank you. Colin Smith sends in a question. Thank you, Colin. Colin's question is as such. Jets or Steelers defense this week? Oh, man. Do I want to play the Steelers against Arizona or the Jets versus Atlanta? Do I have either of those teams ranked as my top 12 defenses? No, I don't have. Actually, I do. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8. Do I have the Jets here? Let me check. New York. Nope. So Pittsburgh Steelers are the ones that I'd go with as of right now. Thank you, Colin. You have you have Kyler and McBride. Okay. So would you want to start your defense against your 2 starting players? Oh, man, that's tough. I could understand why you wouldn't want to do it. But yeah, listen. Jeez. If those are your 2 options, I would try to find another one. But for right now, yeah, I do prefer the Steelers defense. Even with you having Kyler and McBride there. Richard, Jesus, come on, hold up. Richard sends in a question, full PPR. Okay, let's see, Richard. Chase, Najee Harris, Jerome Ford at the flex. Yeah, if it's between those three, I'll play Najee Harris out of the bunch. Yeah, that's where I go. Thank you. Ben Chesler sends in a question, says full PPR. I'm 10-2, and I can afford to lose. Okay, cool. Trade Mostert and Sutton for Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones. Mostert and Sutton for... Yes. Yes. Here's the thing, though. Aaron Jones, I don't even know what... I don't know when he's coming back. So that one's tough. But as of right now, between the bunch, if Achane really begins to dig into Mostert's work, which we anticipate him to do once he's fully healthy, if we get a full healthy JJ and Aaron Jones for weeks 15 through 17, when it matters most, then yes, I would rather have them on my team. Thank you for the question, Ben. Dark Signer, 8313 says, Greg Dortch, Pat Freiermuth, or Noah Brown in the flex. If it's a half PPR, I'll take Pat Freiermuth. If it's a full PPR, I'll take Greg Dortch. Do I take Greg Dortch? No. I'd only take Greg Dortch over Pat Freiermuth, even in a full PPR, if in fact Marquise Brown is out. Otherwise, it's Freiermuth across the board. Thank you. Moving on to a question from Brian Luna. It says half PPR, 12 teams, flex 1. I have Kupp, Ramondre Stevenson, Warren, and Singletary. All right, Brian. So in a half PPR, Kupp, I mean, look, I think it's impossible to play Kupp this week. I'd love for him to play well, but between the other options you have in a half PPR, I'd rather probably just play Ramondre Stevenson out of the bunch. Ramondre, Warren, and Singletary all have great matchups, and all are given a pretty sustainable amount of workload. But between the three, I would rank it Mondre 1, Warren 2, Singletary 3. Obviously, Mondre, lone back, doesn't have as much of an impact from Ezekiel Elliott in his back pocket in comparison to Warren, who plays behind Najee Harris, and Singletary, who, of course, will have to share more workload going forward with Dameon Pierce. So for right now, I'd go with Mondre out of the bunch. Thank you there, Brian. Appreciate it. David C21 says, hey, Andrew, I know you like Atlanta's Falcons defense because of their schedule. What do you think about Denver Broncos defense? All right, let's check here. All right, so the Broncos schedule for the remainder of the season. So this week they have Houston. Don't love it. The following week they have Los Angeles Chargers. Now, that matchup against the Chargers will pretty much be a precursor as to whether or not you want to keep their defense. Because in week 15, you cannot play them against Detroit. I think it's just not a wise task, especially considering Denver's primary weakness at the moment is their run stop defense. And of course, the Detroit Lions excel in terms of running the ball. The New England Patriots matchup in week 16 is as good as it gets. And then, of course, you go back to playing against the Los Angeles Chargers in week 17. So the precursor of week 14's matchup pretty much determines, okay, do I keep them on roster in order to try to, ensure that I win the first round of my playoffs, or I have a bye week in week 15, and then I can play them in week 16 and 17. I don't think that I think they're a pretty solid defense, especially the volume of turnovers that they've caused as of late for fantasy purposes. It's all been great. But yeah, I think the matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers pretty much determines whether or not you keep them on roster. Because otherwise, I mean, if you want to just keep them for week 16, you can. Just like the way that I like Atlanta for this week, and I like them for week 15. Outside of that, I don't really like Atlanta outside, in those two matchups. That's pretty much it. So that's my current thoughts on the matter. Thank you, David. Michael Barton has a follow-up question. Says, my question was Puka or Amari Cooper. I understand now. Yeah, between those two, if it's Puka or Amari Cooper, yeah, I'd probably take Amari Cooper there. I actually trust that the Cleveland Browns will be throwing for majority of this game. Let's see here. PPR question, Breece Hall or Puka Nacua? I'd probably play Breece Hall there. Thank you. William says, will Ezekiel Elliott be back in the S tier? Great question, William. How many years ago was that? 2021? He was the top 6 back, man. I'm telling you. Listen, Zeke used to be great. Now he's just, he's on the wrong team. If he was on the Cowboys, I think he'd still be great. I think he could probably still score touchdowns every week. It's just a matter of, the lack of opportunity as of late. Wow, I'm not even in focus. All right. Camera, hello. Yes, me. Not the microphone. Look at me. Camera, please. Camera. There we go. Man, this microphone wants to really mess with me sometimes, huh? All right, let's see here. After Michael Barton's question, yes, I'll take Amari Cooper there, and I'll take Breece Hall there, Michael. Thank you. As for the follow-up question there, we have V, who sends in a question, says, full PPR, Ayuk, Devontae Smith, Stevenson, Bijan, Kelsey, Downs, Thielen, Javonte, and Achane. Who do I sit? Who do I start? Hollywood over Downs, question mark? Assuming Hollywood's healthy, yeah. Okay, so who do I sit and start out of all those players? Kelsey has to play, so that's a given. Ayuk, Devontae Smith. I mean, is there any other better wide receivers that you have? You have Thielen, you have Downs. No, okay, so Ayuk and Devontae Smith are your 1-2 wide receivers. Stevenson and Bijan are your 1-2 running backs. Kelsey's your tight end. And then if we're just looking for a flex option between Downs, Thielen, Javonte Williams, and Achane in a full PPR, let me check where I have them ranked. Let me go full PPR, F3 function. Thielen is there. Where's Javonte? I'm scared of Thielen this week, but I'd probably take him over the bunch. So I'd probably go Thielen in the flex. So Ayuk, Devontae Smith, Stevenson, Bijan, Kelsey, Thielen, and then whatever this other team's question is as to Hollywood or Downs. Yeah, I'll take Hollywood there. Thank you. Andrew Clark has a question. Thank you, Andrew. Says full PPR. Watson McBride as in Christian Watson, Trey McBride, Cortland Sutton, Chris Godwin, Nico Collins, Devon Achane, Montgomery as in David Montgomery, Henry as in Derrick Henry. We need high upside. My opponent has Kyler, Eckler, Ramondre, Zay. It has to be Flowers, right? Because no one's playing Zay Jones. Ridley, Juwan Johnson, Jaguars defense, Dustin Hopkins. Okay. I need 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex. Already had Dallas' defense play. Yeah, that was a negative 1 point experience for all of us. So out of the available options here, Andrew, what do we have? Okay, so McBride is your starting tight end. There's really nobody else on your team that's contesting that. As for your starting wide receivers, Nico Collins and Cortland Sutton are your 1-2. As for your third option out of the group, I don't expect Chris Godwin to play. Even if he does play, I probably don't play him in this circumstance. I'll probably play Christian Watson there as the number 3. So Sutton, Collins, Watson. As for your running backs, if I'm only starting 2, I'm playing Montgomery and Henry. And, you don't have a starting tight end spot. So that's why you're asking about McBride. Okay. Sutton, Watson, Nico Collins as your 3 wide receivers. Montgomery and Henry as your starting running backs. And I play McBride in the flex. I'm assuming he'll probably catch the ball 6 times, 7 times, 60, 70 yards. A solid 13 to 14. Maybe he finds the end zone. Could end up being a 20-point play within the given week full PPR. Thank you. Samuel sends in a question. Says non-PPR, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Amon-Ra, Dell, Waddle, Kyron Williams, Montgomery, and Swift. 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Amon-Ra has to play. I think Dell and Waddle have to play as well, but you have Kyron Williams, Montgomery, and Swift in a non-PPR. So, it's non-PPR. Yeah, they don't even get to play at that point then. Never mind. Okay. The flex has to be Kyron Williams. As for the 2 wide receivers that you play, I'm looking for the highest upside between the bunch. I'd probably play Amon-Ra and Waddle there. Amon-Ra, Waddle, Kyron Williams. Thank you, Samuel. Appreciate it. Precision Building says, hey, buddy. Just signed up with Underdog. Thanks to you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for the support. What does it say? I got the free C note and made some picks. Awesome. Listen, we're going to be putting together a couple picks at the, I think probably halfway through. So in about 20 minutes. So stick around for that. Thank you, Precision. I appreciate all the support. Kevin Smith sends in a question. Not the director, but our Kevin Smith, the community's member, Kevin Smith. It says full PPR. Sutton, Hopkins, Kupp, Rice, Kirk. Got Bijan, Henry, and Montgomery at running back. Would you play Achane over any of them? Sutton, Hopkins, Kupp, Rice, Kirk, got Bijan, Henry, Montgomery at running back. So would I play Achane over either of the 3 running backs? No. Would I play him over some of those receiving options you have? Abso-freaking-lutely. Like Bijan, Henry, and Montgomery have to play this week as your 2 running backs, 1 flex. If you have an additional flex option, I'd probably end up playing Achane there. And I'd probably play like Sutton as your wide receiver 1 and either Rice or Kupp as your wide receiver 2. But yeah, Achane will definitely be the second flex if there's an opportunity doing so. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. We had a question that came in from, I think it's Retro. Let's see here. Retro JZ says, I have Etienne and Montgomery and Mostert in my flex. Achane, Garrett Wilson, Curtis Samuel in my bench. Okay. So you have Etienne, Montgomery, Mostert. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Which defense, Saints or Miami? Who should I start this week? Okay, so between the 2, Miami versus Washington or the Saints versus Detroit, yeah, I'd rather play the Miami Dolphins defense this week for sure. As for the rest of your overall conversation of ETN, Montgomery, Mostert, yeah, those are the 3 that I would, if it's my team, I'd end up playing those 3. I have the most confidence between those 3 options. Thank you. We Buy Home says, question down below. Okay, sounds good. Says, non-PPR, are we worried about Travis Etienne's injury and the limitation of potential snaps? I have Kyren Williams, I have Alvin Kamara, I have Zach Moss. Okay, interesting. So you do have ridiculously good alternative options. What's your scoring format? Non-PPR? Okay, let me see what I have them in a half in comparison here. Let's go here. I need F3. I need to change. Where's the running backs? Scroll this thing over on the Excel sheet. Okay. So, as of right now, because, oh, jeez. I closed my YouTube stream. I think I'll be back. Okay, we're back. So, as of right now, considering the questionable nature, right? He's questionable for Monday. And considering you have Kamara, Zach Moss, Etienne, Pacheco, and Kyren Williams, and Breece Hall. We have ridiculous options. I'd rather just play the 3 that you mentioned. Play Kyren Williams, play Alvin Kamara, play Zach Moss. Don't put anything up to the chance or anything up to risk. It's not worth it. Thank you. Nathan Gutierrez sends in a question. Nathan, there wasn't anything attached to it, so let me see if I can find it. F3, Nathan Gutierrez. I found it. It says, hey, Andrew, full PPR. Tough week with 2 Fs, by the way. DK popped off for him. Who should I start? Puka, Kupp, Deontay Johnson. I have Montgomery. Oh, my gosh. At the flex, 6-4 currently. Oh, man. I don't really love playing either of those 3 options. I'd probably end up playing Puka. Yeah, I'd probably end up playing Puka there. Between Deontay Johnson, Kupp, and Puka, I'd probably play Puka the other bunch. Otherwise, I say, what else other options do we have? Because those 3 are just tough this week for me. Mac sends in a question. Says, drop Mixon, DeAndre Hopkins, or Josh Downs. Start either of them over Puka Nacua. I'm not playing Mixon this week. I'm not really interested. Do I play Josh Downs over him? In a full PPR, I could be convinced to start Josh Downs over Puka Nacua this week. I actually probably would start Josh Downs over Puka Nacua this week. They're really low ranked, guys. Like, in comparison to where I had them earlier this week, they've slid a pretty, considerable amount. So I probably end up playing Josh Downs in a full PPR ahead of him. Probably end up playing D-Hop ahead of him in a half PPR circumstance. But that's about it. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Johnny. Johnny says, playoffs start week 14. Any defense that you recommend? Okay, so this is what I first and foremost recommend. If you have any Arizona Cardinals or if you have any Washington Commanders, you're screwed. So you need to tell your commissioner to change that the overall playoff starting in week 14, because that just doesn't make sense. That's just it's ass backwards, right? Back asswards. As for defensive recommendations for week 14, let's see here. So the question remains, who's playing against the Bears? The Detroit Lions play against the Bears. That's not a bad play. Who's playing against the the Bengals? The Colts play against the Bengals. That's not a bad one either. Who plays against the Patriots? Thursday Night Football, Steelers play against the Patriots. That's another good one. Who plays against the Jets? Houston Texans. That's another good one. Who plays against the Giants? The Green Bay Packers. That's on Monday. That's another good one. So in terms of like potential streaming pickup options, those are the ones that I would suggest. I'm assuming the Steelers are already rostered in your league. If they're not, they're probably the best defense out of the bunch. Steelers against the Patriots. I like the Colts versus the Bengals. I like the Detroit Lions versus the Bears. I like the Saints versus the Carolina Panthers. The Texans versus the Jets. And the Packers versus the Giants. So those are some precursor options that you could potentially scoop up now in kind of preparation for next week. Thank you. We had a question that came in from Precision Building who said, do I start the 49ers or Rams defense this week? Yeah, I'm not going to play the 49ers against the Eagles, so I'll take the Rams. Will Tank play? Yes, he will play. Should I play Downs? No. Play Tank Dell over Downs. Thank you. Appreciate it. Alrighty. We took care of that. Alan had a question. Sent in. Says PPR pick 2. Nakua, Rice, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins. Out of those options, Nakua, Rice, I'd probably just play Garrett Wilson out of the bunch there. If I'm picking 2, I'll take Garrett Wilson and Rashee Rice. Alan, thank you. Andrew Clark says, I have Travis Kelce, and he is playing Zay Jones. Listen, you should win, right? Technically, you should win. Let's see here. Papa Bless says, what would you do with, would you do Eckler and Garrett Wilson for ETN and Olave? And Olave? But I have Ridley already. I'm so confused. Would I trade away Eckler and Garrett Wilson for ETN and Olave? If that's the primary question, yes. Let me know if that's exactly what you meant. Because yes, I would take that. Gio Ortiz says 2 running backs, 1 flex, 1 wide receiver. We have Eckler, Pacheco, Swift, Singletary, Achane, Nico, Rice, Downs, T. Higgins, Jared Goff is my quarterback. AJ Brown is my wide receiver 1. Laporta is my tight end. P.S. I benched DK this week. Why? Wait, what alternative options did you have? Oh, no. You benched DK this week? All right. Well, hey, listen, it happens. Let's see if we can try to get you a win either way. Out of the bunch, your wide receiver 2 most likely has to now be Nico Collins. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be. Okay. So, let me check something real quick. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's go here. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do either. I don't know why I'm misclicking every single button I possibly can misclick. Let me see this real quick. Is this thing gonna load? Oh man, my internet's dying. It's happening. Okay, so anyway, let's get back here. Boom, bang, bop. All right, so Gio, let's see what we could do here. Nico Collins has to start now. Who's in your flex? I guess it has to be. So yeah, you have to play all 3 of these running backs. So what my suggestion at this point would be, Gio would be, wide receiver is Nico Collins. 2 running backs are Eckler and Pacheco. And then you play Swift in the flex. Eckler, Pacheco, Swift, Nico Collins. Those are the 4. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. Let's hear. We had a question from Caleb Hamilton who says full PPR. Flex Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, or Mixon. Flex Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, or Mixon. If Marquise Brown is healthy, I'm playing him. If he starts tomorrow, I'm playing him. If he's not, then I'll just pivot to Deontay Johnson. Thank you. Moving on to Mac, who says, I need to pick up a tight end. Drop Mixon, DeAndre Hopkins, or Downs. Between the 3 of them, I'd probably end up dropping DeAndre Hopkins. Especially if it's a full PPR scoring format. I don't really trust him rest of the season. Dave says, is Goddard droppable? What are your thoughts on the weird injury? He should end up playing next week, if not next week, the week after. I know that he had a limited participation in practice earlier this week, so there's a likelihood that he ends up potentially getting involved most likely next week. I don't know if he'll be active for this Sunday's game against the 49ers. I know he was trying to push in that direction, but yeah, he's doubtful to play right now with the forearm break that he had earlier this season. Didn't participate in practice Wednesday or Thursday, limited on Friday. So most likely, I'd assume he'll be limited all of next week, depending on that overall kind of how that turns out, he'll most likely, he'll most likely be available in week 15. At that point, it just depends on what else you have available at tight end as to whether you want to drop him. As for Reed or Downs, if Reed is healthy, I'd play him over Downs. Thank you. All right, moving on. The next question we had came in from Ibrahim. Says Lamar, David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Kelsey, Amari Cooper. Should I trade Kelsey for Laporta and Waddle? I would. That sounds fine by me. Thank you for your question, Ibrahim. Says the real Franklin sends in a question. Says, what's up, Andrew? Can you rate my lineup? We have Hurts, we have Eckler, we have Pollard, we have Tyreek, Pittman, Kelsey, Moss. Wow. Okay. I mean, look, at this point, it is crazy to say this out loud, but the weakest member of your offensive starting team is Eckler. Can you imagine that? I wouldn't have never thought that would have been the statement I would make, but yeah, Pollard played well, scored himself another touchdown 3 consecutive games. Tyreek Hill's a machine. Michael Pittman Jr. is a receiving machine, and we'll, in about, I'd say 8 minutes, we'll transition into talking about some underdog plays for this weekend. Michael Pittman Jr. going higher on his receptions is always a, pretty much guarantee at that circumstance, but he's played very well. Kelsey, in comparison, he hasn't been as much upside as normal, but the tight end position has been very much so bleak this season, so I don't really put it against him. Moss, again, should be able to dominate against the Tennessee Titans' terrible run-stop defense. Butker's fine. Falcons' defense is great. You have Achane on your bench. Yeah, I wouldn't start him over any of those 3 running backs, but pretty strong lineup to say the very least. Thank you, Franklin. Appreciate it. All right, we've caught up. Some people were asking us here. Jesse Corona in this chat was saying McBride or Sutton in a full PPR flex. That's a really good question. I'd probably end up playing Cortland Sutton there. Jesse? Yeah, I'd probably end up playing Cortland Sutton there. Good Godwin says, what about Miami defense? Let's go check their schedule, shall we? I think they've got a couple shootouts upcoming, right? Like they've got a couple decent matchups, but after that, it might not be the greatest. Okay, so they have Washington this week, great. They have Tennessee next week, great. They have the Jets the next week after that, great. Then they have Dallas, and then they have Baltimore. So for the next 3 weeks, fantastic. I'd love to keep the Miami Dolphins defense on my roster ready to go because the next 3 games, perfect. Even if Aaron Rodgers plays in week 15 against them, I'm still starting their defense because what I would assume is that Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins, would be like, all right, Aaron Rodgers, you want to come back, you want to play against us, December 17th, fantastic. We're going to blitz you every single down and see how that Achilles holds up, But for right now, the next 3 weeks, Miami's defense is fantastic. After that, against Dallas in week 16, Baltimore in week 17, if you unfortunately play in a week 18 championship, please try to change it. But if you can't, because it's too late, they play against Buffalo. They got 40 points dropped on them last time they took on Buffalo. So those last 3 games not great, but the next 3, yeah, they're definitely more than serviceable for our efforts. Thank you. Gabriel Martin says, I need a wide receiver 2 in a flex between Michael Pittman Jr., Tank Cadell, Cortland Sutton, Devin Singletary, Javonte Williams, standard scoring format. Standard scoring format. Okay. Between the bunch, I think I probably end up still playing Tank Dell alongside. Oh man, do I want to play Singletary or do I want to play one of these receivers next to him? That standard scoring format makes a huge difference because if I'm assuming that Michael Pittman Jr. is going to catch the ball 8+ times, if I wipe away 4 points on a half PPR basis, like I'm thinking Devin Singletary could close the gap. I think Cortland Sutton could very easily close the gap if he scores a touchdown. I'd probably end up playing Tank Dell and Cortland Sutton there. The number 3 I'd probably play with those 2 as of right now. Gabriel, thank you. We had a question that came in from Rissa1382. Says full PPR, Love or Pickett? Between the 2 of them, I'll take Jordan Love there. Pick one for the bye week next week. Bye week sub. James Conner, Royce Freeman, Tyler Algier, Ezekiel Elliott, D'Ernest Johnson, or Jeff Wilson. Okay, Achane's back, but Jeff Wilson's not interesting. D'Ernest Johnson plays on Monday, so we won't know unless you have ETN on your team. Zeke is not worth playing. Algier is not the greatest play. Between Connor and Royce Freeman, I'd rather just play Connor. So yeah, between the questions you have, Risa, Love and Connor. Thank you. Mr. Dang says full PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. We have Cup, we have Evans, we have Pittman, we have Noah Brown, we have Zach Moss, we have Derrick Henry, we have Alvin Kamara. Okay, so Alvin Kamara has to play, especially in the full PPR scoring format. Alongside of him, I'd play Zach Moss. So those are your 2 starting running backs. As for 2 starting wide receiver, Mike Evans has to play and Michael Pittman Jr. has to play. As for your singular flex, I'm throwing Derrick Henry there. Thank you. Let's see here. Drop Noah Brown for Amari Cooper. Yeah, I would, Mr. Dang. I would do that. Thank you. Let's see here. The Mad Capper says, full PPR, bench 1, quarterback / running back, Kyler, Minshew, Pacheco, Kyren Williams. So if I'm playing only 1 quarterback and 1 running back out of the bunch, I'm playing Kyren Williams and I'm playing Kyler Murray. So both the Kys. I would bench Pacheco and I'd bench Minshew as well. Thank you. Hollywood Bounder down, says Sancho. If Hollywood's healthy tomorrow, I mean, look, let me see when they play tomorrow. So if I look at week 13, they play in the morning, 10 a.m. So we'll know throughout tomorrow morning's live stream whether or not he's going to be active against the Steelers. If he's active, if he's flown out, he preps before the game, goes through his warm-ups, he's ready to go, fantastic. I play him over downs. Otherwise, you have the alternative pivoting position, which is safe, of course. Freiermuth or Juwan Johnson for Michael Lewis. Opponent has Carr. Yeah, I'd probably still play Freiermuth there. I think it'd be very difficult for a tight end to come off a week in which he has 11 targets and then get very little utilization a week after. I think that'd be very unlikely to occur, just in my mind. Raymond Brown says, hey, Andrew, started Cup over Devonta Smith and lost by 2 last week. I'm good. What does it say? LOL. Am I good to flex him over Cup this week? Yes. Have Achane and Downs on my bench. PPR. Yeah. You're good to start Devonta Smith this week. What does it say? Doppy? Yeah, Doppy says, hey, Andrew, I'm 10-2 currently in the standard PPR scoring format. What position am I weak at currently? Anybody I should trade away? I have Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, Pollard, Swift, Mostert. You have trade of... Okay, you can still trade. So Prescott has to stay. McCaffrey has to stay. Pollard has to stay. Swift has to stay for fantasy playoffs. Mostert could be moved. Amon-Ra stays. Ayuk can stay for now. I like his schedule upcoming. Sutton has been great. Deebo Samuel's the same thing as Ayuk. Schedule upcoming is great. McLaurin can be moved. Okay, so as of right now, out of what you have available, McLaurin and Mostert can be moved. Maybe even Sutton. Like if you can, technically you can overpay for a player and try to go get a 2-for-1, maybe even a 3-for-1, because I don't think you need this crazy volume of depth. And you could very easily go get another starter. Those are the 3 that I think are tradable pieces. Otherwise, the rest of these guys, if you can keep McCaffrey, Pollard, Swift as your 2 RBs flex, Prescott, Amon-Ra, Ayuk, you have Laporta or McBride, depending on how you want to play. Like, you're good to go. You just go potentially grab another option to maybe replace Ayuk as that wide receiver 2, which again, you don't have to because he's going to be in that top 15 wide receiver conversation rest of season. I think you're in a pretty good spot. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from JG. JG says, please pick one in a non-PPR. Rashad White, David Montgomery, or Devon Achane. If I'm playing one in a non-PPR scoring format, it's probably David Montgomery. Please pick one between the Chiefs defense or the Falcons defense. Chiefs versus the Green Bay Packers or the Falcons versus the Jets. Yeah, I'll take the Falcons against the Jets. As for the Chiefs defense, so I have the Chiefs defense as my number 7 defense. They're number 6, but I have the Falcons ahead of them. Now, this is what I will say: if you can, please hold the Chiefs defense on your roster because their rest of season schedule is very good. So after week 14, because again, I don't know if you're going to need them for week 14. You could end up playing them there, but I don't think you should. Week 15, they get New England. Week 16, they have the Vegas Raiders. Week 17, they have the Cincinnati Bengals. I know that last week against the Vegas Raiders, they had to make a comeback victory, but they'll probably play significantly better this time around at home against the Vegas Raiders. But those 3 playoff games for them, New England, Las Vegas, Cincinnati, are incredible for their defense. Be sure to keep them on roster. If it's a matter of, hey, I have to keep them on roster, otherwise I got to play the Falcons this week. If you have to make the playoffs, I'm leaning towards the Falcons. If you're like, hey, I've already got a winning record, it's no big deal. I'm just trying to figure out what defense to keep, then try to keep the Chiefs for that fantasy playoff stretch. Thank you. All right, we took care of that. Sean Bonds, thank you, Sean. Sean says, start 2 in a standard scoring format, Warren, Stevenson, and Ford. Between those 3, I'd play Warren and Stevenson. Thank you. Appreciate it, Sean. Rockout says, PPR, pick 1 for the 1 flex and 2. Wait, what does it say? PPR, pick 1 flex, but 2 flex if Olave doesn't play. Okay, got it. So under the assumption that Olave doesn't play, the 2 that I would play out of Javonte, McLaurin, and Reed, I'd probably end up playing in a PPR. Yeah, in a PPR scoring format, I'd probably play Javonte Williams and Terry McLaurin there. In a full PPR scoring format. If in fact Olave does play, I'd play Javonte alongside of him. Thank you. Dorsey 5001 says, yo, full PPR, pick 1. Breece Hall, Jalen Warren, Singletary, or Thielen. Full PPR, pick 1. I'd probably end up playing Warren. I like Thielen a lot, but I'd probably end up playing Warren there. Full PPR, pick 1, Swift or Singletary. Full PPR. I probably, oh man, that's a tough one. Where do I have them ranked next to each other? Let's see here. Swift is 18, Singletary is 20. Yeah, I'd probably end up playing Swift there. So for right now, Warren and Swift. Thank you, Dorsey. Nathan Gutierrez says, another team on Yahoo, Superflex. Who do I start? Henry, Swift, Montgomery, Kyron Williams, Najee, Singletary, Allen, Deontay, Moore, Godwin, 7 and 5. Do I pick up a wide receiver? Okay, so first and foremost, you have so many good running backs, it's kind of doing you a disservice. The 3 running backs that I would play out of the bunch that you have are Kyron Williams, Montgomery, and Henry. Nathan, as for the wide receivers, Keenan Allen obviously has to play. You have Deontay Johnson, Moore, and Godwin. I'm assuming that's DJ Moore, but he's on bye week, so you'd probably have to play Deontay Johnson alongside of Keenan Allen. And yeah, that's it. That's how we'd send it. Do you have to pick up a wide receiver? I don't think you need to pick up one. I mean, unless there's something that shouldn't be on your waivers. Chauncey in the chat says Juwan Johnson or Brevin Jordan in a half PPR. I take Juwan Johnson there. Hold on to Ertz or not? Yes, you should. Zach Ertz coming off a little bit of an injury, but has been on the injured reserve for a little while now. Should be healthy, ready to go. He asked for his release from the Arizona Cardinals. They granted it to him. The likelihood is he either signs with the Baltimore Ravens, who are in need of a primary number 1, considering, of course, Mark Andrews is out. Even if Mark Andrews returns throughout their entire playoff stint, having another tight end of the caliber of Zach Ertz definitely would help. Or otherwise could potentially end up signing with the Eagles. That could end up working. Him and Goddard kind of having a little bit of a rotation like they did a couple years ago. Who's another team that is in desperate need of a little bit of tight end help? Who actually utilizes their tight end? Trying to think as to who actually uses their tight ends. Let's think here. Who's a team that uses tight end that doesn't I would think that's it. I mean, I guess like the 49ers could go buck wild, sign him, and just say, hey, you know what? You're going to be our number 2 now. We just want more weapons because we're winning the championship. Like, there could be a team that just goes all out for that kind of a position, but we'll wait and see. What does it say? Thielen or Noah Brown, full PPR? I'll take Thielen there. Singletary, Javonte in a full PPR? I'd probably take Javonte there. You know what? Between Singletary and him, I'd probably take Singletary. I like Javonte a lot this week, but Singletary is probably the safer option. Let's see here. We're good there. Good. Christian Ramos says Holler. Yeah, so we took care of that one. Forsaken says, please help. Should I drop Spears for ETN? What? Should I drop Spears for ETN rest of the season? I don't know if did you type this wrong? I'm confused. Drop Spears for ETN. Yes. I'm just going to assume that what you wrote is correct. The answer is yes. Silent Bandit says PPR. Already had Dak and Lamb play. Should I go with Singletary or Swift? I have Christian McCaffrey. Oh, man. Dude, it's so tough. I don't know how much they're going to utilize Dameon Pierce going into this week. I'd probably end up leaning towards leaning towards Swift for now. I have him like 2 spots ahead of Singletary, primarily because I just don't know what the heck I'm going to see out of that backfield. Like, I have an idea that, yes, Singletary should probably see 60, 65, 70% of the overall touches, but I don't know, I don't know if there's going to be enough touches within that overall game as a whole. Like, if it's 15 total touches and he sees 65% of them, it's not a high number. It's not going to be like, like I don't know if he'll be able to compete with DeAndre Swift's guaranteed 15 touches that he's had 10 games in a row, I think, consecutively. Let's see here. Yusuke says, pick 2, Judy, Dobbs, Curtis Samuel, Elijah Moore. Out of the bunch, I'd probably end up playing Curtis Samuel, Jerry Judy there. Thank you. Let's see here. Mohammed says Ford or HN in the flex. Oof. I'd probably just play the safe running back of Ford. Hold on to T. Higgins rest of the season. I don't know if you have to. I mean, look, I think the backup quarterback Browning is only going to get better, but I don't know if I'd ever trust starting T. Higgins. I think it depends what you have on the rest of your team, but for right now, I don't think I'd ever trust starting him unless he puts together 2 good performances in a row. Like, let's say, for example, this week he scores a touchdown, has himself like 40 yards, like 6 catches. Okay, that's a great week. Do it again. Prove it to us that it's not a fluke, because until that he can prove that, specifically, this is Jake Browning. It's not T. Higgins. He's already like solidified that he's proven that he's a great player. But until Jake Browning can prove that he can get the ball to these receivers on a consistent basis and lead them to success, it's tough for me to trust it. Let's see here. JNF says PPR, 1 running back, 1 flex. Out of these following options, Kyron Williams has to play. Alongside of him, Montgomery. If not Montgomery, you play Devontae Smith. Let's see here. Mohammed says, okay, so we took care of that one. Ando says half PPR, banged up Keenan Allen or Deontay Johnson for first place. Yeah, I'd play Keenan Allen, even if he's banged up. Doesn't matter to me. He's too good, man. He's just too good. Hi, Andrew Firemuth or Kincaid rest of season, standard. That's tough to say. Just like 1 week of Freiermuth, I don't know if that can I don't think that's going to sway me away from Kincaid as of yet. So I'd still stick with Kincaid in that capacity. Real Franklin says, got any good pick'ems? Yeah, let's do that right now. Totally forgot. We just jumped like 10 minutes in the wrong direction. So let's get to that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and head on over to Underdog Fantasy. I've gone ahead and I've put together a couple pick'em slips as of late that are actually pretty solid. Let me go ahead and let me share them from yesterday's video. Let's go ahead and let's head on over. Again, do not forget, there's a link down in the description for those of you guys who want to go ahead and sign up via Underdog Fantasy, potentially trail, fade all the potential plays we make, draft responsibly, potentially win yourself some big money. But again, for those of you who are interested, there's a couple things to keep in mind. You have to be eligible based on the map to the bottom left side of the screen. That'll determine your eligibility, of course, based on your location. There are some locations in which, of course, some states like Louisiana that you can see, Nevada, obviously you can't play it there. There are some states in which, of course, the Pick'ems games is limited. You have to just kind of know based on, once you go ahead and at least sign up first and foremost, before you even make that first time deposit, you'll have an idea. But if you want the rankings, $10 minimum once, and you'll get those rankings every single Sunday morning. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Okay, screen capture. Let's go ahead. Let me show you guys some of these plays, right? So yesterday, in terms of some of the overall plays that I put together, what is this? This was earlier this week. I went a little ham, okay? This is way earlier in the week. I think this was on, was it Monday or Tuesday? I think it may have been Tuesday. I saw this and I was like, yo, I'm just going to send it. Now, this is like it's a pretty crazy number, right? It's, how much did I put on this? I put $10 for $250. That's a pretty crazy one. But I thought to myself, I mean, touchdown for Tyreek Hill is not crazy. He scored a touchdown in 9 of the last 11 games he's played. Jahmyr Gibbs' touchdown is not crazy. David Montgomery touchdown is definitely not crazy. Jalen Waddle getting receiving yards against Washington is definitely not crazy. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, a guy that has gotten over 100 receiving yards, 7 times this year? 6 times? I think it's 6 times. That's not crazy either. So I put that together. That's not the one that I suggested yesterday. Yesterday, these were the 5 players that I liked the most. Sam Howell going higher than 38.5 passing attempts. You know what? Actually, now that I'm curious about it, is that even still on the board? Like if I go NFL and I go Howell, he's still at 38.5. Guys, I said this yesterday and I'll say it again. 8 of the last 9 games he has played, he has surpassed 38.5 passing attempts. I do not understand what sports book, what demon technology, I don't know what's happening here. But this play right here, this shouldn't be here. I don't get it. I legitimately do not understand it. The last 6 games in a row, 42 plus passing attempts. They only throw the ball in Washington. They literally only throw the ball. That defense is so inept in their secondary. I mean, they already went ahead and they fired Jack Del Rio. They fired their secondary head coach. They made some changes. It doesn't matter. They just don't have the players to be able to sustain the offensive firepower, especially of Miami this week. They're going to be throwing the ball for the majority of the game. I just don't get it. This is my favorite play of the week. Let me see some of these questions that were sent in. Shane sends in a question, says Devontae on bye, Dobbs or Dortch this week and rest of the season. I wouldn't say that Dortch is a guy that I'd rather have rest of season, but this week I'd rather have Dortch. Rest of season I'd rather have Dobbs because I really do like their schedule against like the Giants, Tampa Bay, Minnesota that's coming. But yeah, Dortch this week, Dobbs rest of season. Thank you. Mo Money sends in a question, says PPR give Mostert, Swift, Puka for Eckler, Javonte, and Dell. Mostert, Swift, and Puka for Eckler, Javonte, Dell. I have to think about that. That one's whew. Because Swift's playoff schedule is ridiculous. Yeah, because like right now when I look at this, like Eckler's better than Mostert rest of season, I would assume. Dell is better than Puka, but Swift over. I'd probably take it. Yeah, I'd probably take the deal. Chris Moraga sends in a question, says, salutations, sir. PPR flex 1. I need upside. Warren, Connor, Achane. Half PPR, Godwin or Hubbard. I assume that Godwin doesn't play. Hubbard will be the play there. Warren, Connor, or Achane. If I'm going for upside, it's either Warren or Achane. I lean towards the safer player of just going with Warren there against Arizona. Forsaken says, I mistyped. Should I drop Spears for D'Ernest Johnson rest of season? Yes. Just in case, because if he doesn't play Monday, you need an alternative, right? Because Gus Edwards is on bye. So yes, I would drop Spears for D'Ernest Johnson. Well, it depends. Let me think about this. If you don't have ETN, you don't need him. If you have Henry and you have Spears, then you keep Spears. That's my thought. Thank you. Nathan Salazar says the following. Where's Nathan's question? Nathan says pick 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, PPR, Puka, Scary Terry, Waddle, Higgins, Achane. Waddle, wide receiver 1, Scary Terry, wide receiver 2, Achane in the flex. Thank you, Nathan. Black Jesus says PPR. I need a start and flex. I need a start and flex. I'm assuming you mean you need a wide receiver start, but I don't know if. Yeah, you didn't put it. Either way, Puka, Amari Cooper, Garrett Wilson, Deontay Johnson. I'll take Amari Cooper, Garrett Wilson there. Thank you, Black Jesus. Appreciate it. Bassa B says standard. Who do I start as in my RB2? Hubbard or Kareem Hunt? I'll take Hubbard there. My flex options are between Downs and Jaden Reed. I'll take Downs there for right now. Assuming if it's a standard scoring format, I'd rather take Jaden Reed. If it's a full PPR, I'd rather take Josh Downs. So Hubbard at running back, Jaden Reed in a standard, if that's the same league. Thank you. All right, let's see here. So besides Sam Howell, okay, in terms of this week's play, which is incredible, right? The other plays that I had on screen earlier was like David Montgomery scoring a touchdown. He scored a touchdown every single game he's played this season in which he's been healthy. Like that seems like an automatic. Michael Pittman Jr., I don't know if they moved his number up. 6.5 receptions. Like this is another one that's incredible. Like I really don't understand why it's at this position. He's had himself 8 or more receptions in 6 of the last 7 games he has had with a starting Gardner Minshew. 6 of the last 7 games, 8+ receptions, coming off a week in which he had 13 targets, 10 catches against Tampa Bay. Like, how much more could we ask of him? Like, this is another one of these fantastic plays. I'll take it. What else was another player that we talked about yesterday? Let me see. Let me go open up my Excel sheet of Underdog plays that I'm thinking about this weekend. Where is it? Where did he go? Here it is. The other one was Najee Harris. Yeah, that one was another sneaky play. Because I mean, I completely understand the logic of like, okay, Najee Harris he's got Jalen Warren in his back pocket. Let's see if I go Steelers here, would they all pop up? Steelers? Yeah. So I understand the logic. It was at 55.5 yesterday. I still think it's great. The fact that they have Jalen Warren running for more rushing yards is a little bit surprising to me, especially considering Najee Harris has been able to surpass this number, 56.5, 3 of the last 4 games. I mean, I think against the Arizona Cardinals of all defense is literally the best matchup. This should be a very achievable number, especially considering they're a run-first approach as an offense. On top of it, like I mentioned in yesterday's Hidden Gems episode, just hear the overall rushing yard totals of running backs versus Arizona this season. You guys ready for this? Kyron Williams, 143. Royce Freeman, 77. Singletary, 112. Bijan, 95. Gus, 80. Kenneth Walker, 105. Kyron Williams, again, 158. Mixon, 81. McCaffrey, 106. Pollard, 122. Barkley, 63. Brian Robinson Jr., 59. 55.5 rushing yards, 56.5 rushing yards should very easily be attainable. But for right now, usually what I like to do is I like to pair up players. So like if I'm making this play, like, oh my, I almost put it for $265. Jesus. Let's go for $20. Actually, yeah. Let's just do this. Let's spice it up a little bit. Like this is a great play. I honestly think this is a great play for this weekend. If there's any other plays that you guys have seen that are absolutely juicy, let me know, because there are a lot via Underdog that we could potentially, like the idea of Courtland Sutton scoring a touchdown. I mean, I don't put it past him. I think it's actually a decent play. Even, I mean, especially with the 1.5x, like I don't think it's a bad idea. All right, there's a couple questions said in the chat. Let's see here. Bougie says, full PPR, 2 running backs, 1 flex. We have Mixon, Connor, Warren, Jaden Reed. Between those 4 options, I'll take Warren, Connor, and Reed. Thank you. Daniel Barnes says, full PPR, pick 1 flex, Swift, Puka, Garrett Wilson. I'll take Swift out of the 3. Thank you. David C21 says, put up the thumbs buttons, guys. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you guys could do me a favor, click the like button down below. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks. Donald Smith says, Falcons defense or Chargers? I like them both a lot, especially with the Chargers taking on Bailey Zappi now. I'd probably still take the Falcons there for now. Flex Puka or Achane? I think I'd rather just play Achane there. I'd rather take the risk of the upside. Kevin says, pick 2 out of the 4 in a full PPR. Sutton, Marquise, Puka, and McLaurin. Yeah, look, if Marquise Hollywood Brown plays tomorrow, Kevin, I'll play him alongside of Sutton there very happily. Hey, Andrew, which 2 should I start half PPR? AJ Brown, Debo Samuel, Michael Pittman Jr., or Adam Thielen? I mean, my rankings really haven't changed in terms of AJ Brown and Pittman being the highest of the bunch. So those are the 2 that I'm leaning towards. Let's see, Marquise Brown or Cooper Kupp in a PPR. I'd probably play Marquise Brown if he's healthy tomorrow. Actually, it's kind of crazy to even hear myself say it, but yeah, that's where we're at with this offense. Unfortunately, can't really trust those receivers, man. There's so many plays. Let's see here. Does Tank Dell have any numbers yet? They do. What is he at? 4.5 receptions, 7 targets. That's the thing. Patrick Surtain's going to be an interesting play tomorrow. Where's Brevin Jordan's numbers at? They have him in here? They do. 24.5 receiving yards. That's an interesting one. That's, to say the least, that is an interesting one. All right, let me move real quick. Let's go back to the chat. Freiermuth, 3.5 receptions. Yes. Abso-freaking-lutely. Steelers. Freiermuth. Yes. Without a doubt. There's no way you can go from having 11 targets the week prior to being a non-factor the next week, especially when you take on Arizona. Fantastic play. Good call out there, Jay. Thank you. Jets or Bucks? All rise. I like the Jets. No. I'd rather just play the Bucks defense. Even without Levante David, I'd rather play the Bucks defense. Pitch Herndon says Browns defense or Chargers. I'd rather play the Chargers defense this weekend. Pick 2, Downs, Ford, or D-Hop. I'd probably play Downs and Ford in a full PPR. Half PPR, probably Ford and D-Hop. Jaden Reed, AJ Dillon, T. Higgins, PPR. I'd probably end up playing Jaden Reed there. Assuming he's healthy, of course. I mean, that's just the determining factor. But you could pivot to AJ Dillon if he's not. Dortch or Javonte Williams, PPR. That one's a good one. I got to think about that one. Let's see. Who else is... I'm going to actually just scroll to the very bottom of this list. Let's see what's going on here. Because usually the Monday plays, they got to... Like, look. This... I have a hard time thinking... that, dude, how is Calvin Ridley... Oh, hold up. You know what? Besides... Forget that. I think targets is probably the play. Let me look at this real quick. So this season in games that Zay Jones has been active, he's had 6 targets, 9 targets. Nope, sorry, wrong order. He's had 11, 8, 9, and 6. He's at 6.5. Yeah, I'll take 6.5 targets against Cincinnati. Is it 6.5 targets? Or yeah, I'll take 6.5 targets. I just have a hard time thinking that they don't blow through this defense. They have ETN at 68.5 rushing yards. That's an interesting number. What do they have in terms of his fantasy points? 13. Man, they have him at the high end, huh? Kind of tough to make a play on that. Like, I'm thinking now, like, this has to go low, right? I mean, it just seems like it's one of those plays that just kind of has to be taken. I don't know if it's with Freiermuth. I think Freiermuth by himself with somebody else. Like, I'd be willing to where I'm so confident with Freiermuth to where I go back to Sam Howell and I take this and I do this again. And I put in another play. Like, that's how much comfort I have with Sam Howell, that I can literally just keep pairing him with everyone. I just don't understand the number for Sam Howell. Let me see this real quick. If I check something really quickly, just for my... Okay, I see why they have the number where it is. I see exactly why. So the reason why they have the number at 38.5 is because last week Tim Boyle had 38 passing attempts against that defense. The week prior, Aiden O'Connell had 41. The week prior to that, Patrick Mahomes in Germany had 30. The week prior to that, Mac Jones had 29. Jalen Hurts had 31. Bryce Young had 38. So there hasn't been a single quarterback except for Mac Jones in week 2 that has thrown the ball over 38.5 times against the Miami Dolphins defense. That is why the number is there. I understand now. Still don't like the reason why it's there. It should go higher. All right, let me see here. We had a question that came in from, we took care of Daniel Barnes. We're good to go there. Let me scroll down a little bit. Isaac Soto. Thank you, Isaac. Says Ramondre Stevenson or Raheem Mostert full PPR. That's a good one. I'd probably venture to... Let me see who I have ranked higher in my full PPR rankings. So I have Mostert right next to Ramondre. Yeah, I have Mostert at 13 and Ramondre at 14. Could change by tomorrow morning, but for right now, yeah, I'd still lean towards Mostert, even with the return of HN. There's just more potential within this offense, especially in garbage time. ETN is due for a big game, yeah. I think you're completely right in that overall regard. The only issue that I have is that he's questionable. If he doesn't end up playing, then the whole play gets, kind of wiped off. So the idea of him, like, come on, Andrew. The whole idea of 68.5 rushing yards, under the assumption that he's, man, if he had a full practice yesterday or today, I'd be on board, but that's tough. Jameson Williams or Dortch PPR? Michael Lewis, I would take Dortch there. Sergio says Dillon, Gainwell, or Hubbard. I'd probably end up playing... Hubbard there. Poker King says PPR. Start 3, Puka, Nico, Zach Moss, Derrick Henry, Ridley. I'd probably end up playing Moss, Nico, and Henry. No, Moss, Ridley, and Henry. Moss, Ridley, Henry there, Poker King. Singletary or a chance with I think it auto-corrected you, Mo. It went from A-Chan to A-Chance. Singletary or A-Chan? I'll probably play Singletary there. A-Jeezy says, Andrew, what defense do I roll out with? First round playoffs, Cleveland versus Chicago, Baltimore versus Jacksonville, or Dallas versus Buffalo? Ooh, I'd probably play Cleveland's defense there. Baltimore's kind of matchup proof, but I do think it's a tougher matchup at Jacksonville. Kind of a playoff battle between those two teams. Dallas at Buffalo, don't love that either. So I'd probably end up playing Cleveland in that circumstance. Kamikaze says, hey Andrew, I need some help. Play both Muth and Deontay Johnson, or play Dortch and Watson for my bench instead of Deontay Johnson. What's your scoring format there, Kamikaze? I think that's really the question on hand. Let's take the risk here. Dude, 68.5 rushing yards is so much, though. That's the issue that I have. Especially if they take actually it's yeah, look, I'm just looking at his numbers as of late. This is Travis Etienne. His rushing yard totals: 56, 52, 35, 79. Okay, so once. 53, 55, 136 twice, 55, 88 three times, 47. Okay, so of the total, how many games is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Of the 11 games, 4 times has he ever gone over that number of 68.5 rushing yards. That's what scares me. I understand it's a really good matchup against Cincinnati, but the injury just on top of it makes it that much more of a compounded, risk bomb that could end up blowing up in my face. Janice says, who lives in a pineapple under the sea? I mean, of course, the one and only. SpongeBob, of course. Good question. Let's see here. Kamikaze. Kamikaze says half PPR, Andrew. Okay. So between the two of them, half PPR, play both Muth and Deontay Johnson, or play Dortch. If Marquise Brown is out, I'd play Dortch alongside of Muth. If he's not out tomorrow morning, then you just play Deontay there. Thank you. Kevin Guevara says, chat, help. Must win. Who puts up more points, Mahomes or Purdy? That's a good question. Mahomes versus Green Bay or Purdy versus the Eagles? I'm going to make a chat poll for that one. Who scores more points? Actually, more fantasy points. That's the actual designation. Mahomes or Purdy? All right, let's see what the chat has to say. I started the poll. Let's see what we get. While you guys are there, while you're voting on the poll, do me a favor, click the like button down below. Greatly appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Mo says, pick one: Algier, Hunt, Pierce, or Pirine. In a full PPR, I'd probably end up playing... That's actually a really tough question. I'd probably go Pirine there out of the bunch in a full PPR. If it was a half PPR standard, I'd probably go with Kareem Hunt just for touchdown upside. Gareth Taylor says, hi, Andrew. Greetings from Stockholm, Sweden. How about that? Standard, Hurts, or Stroud? Yeah, I'll take Jalen Hurts this week. I'll take Jalen Hurts every week. Like, really, it's just tough not to play him. Pittman, Debo, or Thielen? Between those three in a standard scoring format, I'd rather play Debo. Thank you. Appreciate it, Gareth. Elijah Moore, Noah Brown, or JSN for the playoffs? JSN. Full PPR, Breece Hall or David Montgomery? Can Breece Hall score 15 points without even scoring a touchdown? That's the question. If the answer is yes, then Breece Hall is the play. Let's see here. I know he had, 7 catches last week, but a ridiculous number. The last 3 games he's had... The last 4 games he's been over 10 fantasy points, of course, because of the receiving upside. But 10, 10.5, 8.3, 11.9. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he cannot outscore David Montgomery. So for right now, I take Montgomery there in a full PPR. Let's see here. Pick one: Devon Achane, Deontay Johnson, or Pat Freiermuth, full PPR flex. Donald, I honestly probably play Freiermuth there out of the bunch. Flacco gonna check down. Yeah, but the thing is, VMS, Hunt is not the receiving back. Jerome Ford clear and away is the receiving back of this offense. It's not even close. Like I know like maybe Kareem Hunt from 2019 was the receiving back of this offense, but he hasn't been at all this season. Like not even a bit. Like if I'm just looking at his last couple games, this is the volume of receptions he's had on the per game basis. 0-1-0-0-3-0. Like he doesn't get enough utilization to be able to even constitute him as a receiving back in comparison to Jerome Ford throughout that same span of time. 2-1-5-1-2-4. Like it's certainly going to be, and especially with Jerome Ford getting 12 targets in the last 2 games combined, like, sheesh. Let's see here. Who will play better, Reed or Pickens? I just trust Reed more because he's done it at a consistent basis as of late. Juan says, what's going on, Andrew? Everything's good? Yep, everything's great. Thank you. Full PPR. Samuel, Higgins, Pierce. Who should I pick? Oh, should I pick up Dortch? No, I mean, I'm going to play Debo Samuel there in a full PPR, Juan. Yeah, if it's between the bunch, Debo Samuel plays. Now, as for the other two, let's say, for example, you got to play 2 of the 3. At that point, I would go after Dortch. Warren or A.J. Dillon, says Michael Lewis. I'd rather play Warren. Yeah, for sure, I'd rather play Warren. Let's scroll here. Let's see what we can find. So you guys know how much I love the you know what is another, honestly, yeah, we'll come back to the Washington Commanders because I love my Sam Howell play this week. It just seems like it's bound to happen in that kind of a circumstance. What else is a solid play? Let's see here. Does Eckler have a rushing attempt total? 14.5. Yikes. Not what I was looking for. Not the number I was looking for exactly. Let's see here. Is there a Bailey Zappi interception number? Nope. Otherwise, I'd take it. Let's see. Where are we at in terms of Younghoe Koo? 1.5 field goals made. What if I look up kicker? I could technically look up kicking points, huh? I thought Will Lutz wasn't going to play this week. Younghoe Koo has made 1 field goal in each of the last 2 games. That's not promising per se. Jason Sanders probably surpasses this. Last 2 weeks he's easily been able to do it. I think this is not a bad idea. Him being able to get 8 points in terms of kicking, 2 field goals, 2 PATs. Actually, kicking points is way more. Yeah, sketchier. What if I look up field goals? How about FG? There you go, field goal. What do we have here in terms of kicker plays? Chase McLaughlin's tip. This I think I'd probably just take. McLaughlin's not bad. Will Lutz, assuming he's active and playing, probably not bad in terms of a play. All right, let me get back to answering some of these questions before I get lost here. Okay, we've taken care of that. Check out TJ Watt over tackles assists. Okay, let me check this out. Tackles assists 3.5. What has he been doing as of late? Wait a minute. Why is his number so low? This. What? Hold up. Why do they have him projected at such a low number? Tackles and assists. 5, 6, 8, 4, 2, 1. Okay. So he's only been recently on a ridiculously hot streak. Okay, understood. I mean, I don't mind it, to be honest. I'll take the risk. That's fine by me. I'll probably take it with Dustin Hopkins for right now. That's fine by me. Let's take a little sprinkle. Don't mind it. All right, let's see here. Let's go back. Let's go back to NFL. Boom. All right, let me get back down to answering some questions. We had a question that came from Charles T. Charles, thank you. I greatly appreciate it, man. Charles says, half PPR, Brees, Javonte, or Montgomery? Yeah, it's Montgomery there. And Tank or Olave? Would I play Olave over Tank if he starts this week and he's healthy? Would I play Olave over Tank? At this point, I probably wouldn't. It's close. Like in my half PPR rankings, what did I have Olave earlier this week? I had Olave at, where is his number? Scroll over. Olave was 11 and Tank Dell was 9. I do expect Tank Dell to be healthy by the time we get to tomorrow's game. Yeah, even if Olave is active, I'd probably go Tank Dell and David Montgomery there. Thank you. Juan says no Debo. It's Curtis Samuel. Oh, it's not Debo Samuel. It's Curtis Samuel. Got it. So you have Curtis Samuel, Higgins, Pierce, or Dortch. Yeah, at that point, I'm picking up. At that point, I'm comfortable playing Samuel, but I have Dortch ranked higher. Thank you. All right. Let me see if I can find. You know what? If I find any other plays later today, I'll show them to you guys tomorrow. But for right now, we're just going to go back to the big screen. I do appreciate y'all. For those of you guys, again, if you want rankings every single subsequent Sunday, and of course, week 15 and 16 Saturdays, if you sign up via Underdog Fantasy today, using code Andrew, make a first-time deposit minimum of $10. Again, one first-time deposit, $10. Every single Sunday, you'll get my rankings, which are by position, by tier, flex rankings, half PPR, full PPR. So, I mean, like let's say, for example, tomorrow, that the rankings email will most likely be sent out 2 a.m.-ish, 2:30 a.m.-ish. It'll have the best quarterback rankings of, I mean, beyond top 16. It's like how many quarterbacks do we have left? There's 6 teams on bye, so that makes it where it's 26, and then 2 have already played. So top 24 running backs, probably like top 45-ish, 50 running backs, top 70 or 80 wide receivers, top 20, 22 tight ends, depending on how many are actually worth a start. Top 100 plus flex rankings, top 12 kickers and defenses. Sometimes I throw in like 15 of those just in case everything has been taken. So if you guys are interested, use code Andrew. I greatly appreciate all the support. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Closing out today's live stream. What do we have? Diego says, would you play Godwin, Dobbs, or Dortch? Yeah, I'd rather play Dortch. Godwin's dealing with an injury. Dobbs has got a tough matchup against that secondary. I'd rather play Dortch. Thank you, Diego. Appreciate it. Gigs says, Gigabyte says, pick 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. Sutton, Josh Downs, Thielen, Nico Collins, Breece Hall. I mean, at this point, I think Sutton and Nico Collins are the 1-2 as for your wide receivers. In a full PPR, I think Breece Hall's perfectly fine, but I think like if he's not going to score a touchdown, he's only going to score 10 points. I think Thielen and Josh Downs actually could outscore him in a full PPR capacity. So I'd probably just take Thielen there in the flex. Let's see here. Randy Fernandez says pick 2, half PPR. Pierce, Nico Collins, Singletary, Cup. Yeah, if I'm playing 2 of the 4, I'll take Nico Collins and Singletary there. Thank you. Mario says, I had Schultz, picked up Brevin Jordan off waivers. Other waiver options are Conklin or Okonkwo. Should I stick with Brevin Jordan? Yeah, that's fine. I don't think the other 2 are technically more dependable. I think they're just as kind of sketchy per se. DeAndre Hopkins or Amari Cooper? I'd rather play Amari Cooper this week. Standard running back pick 3, Pacheco, Brian Robinson, ETN or Swift. Assuming that's Brian Robinson, not Bijan, right? ETN has to play, I think, in a standard scoring format. I'd probably end up playing Pacheco as well. If it's Bijan, he plays. If it's Brian, I'd probably end up playing Swift. Half PPR, Chase, Thielen, Deontay Johnson. I'd probably end up playing Thielen there. Jake Browning or Kenny Pickett? Yeah, I'd rather play Kenny Pickett. Who would you start, Purdy or Howell? 0.3 points per completion. Yeah, I'd rather just. Wow, actually depends on the weather tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see what the weather looks like. What is the Mahomes versus Purdy poll at? 69% Mahomes. Perfect number to end it on. Let's just clean it out on that. Thanks, guys, for participating. Warren or Ford? Jalen Warren, even in a full PPR. Who would you start, Purdy or Howell? Yeah, I already answered that one. I'd probably end up still playing Purdy for right now. Leak Low Key says, should I start Christian Kirk or Joe Mixon? Have we completely given up on Joe? Yeah. Well, look, here's the thing. I would say I've only completely given up on Joe this week because of the matchup against Jacksonville. Jacksonville does not allow any yardage on the ground. Like just some of the more recent matchups where running backs have taken on this defense. On top of the fact that these are matchups where the opposing team has sufficient quarterback play and they're not just stacking the box because they want Jake Browning to try to beat him with their arm. The running back performances as late against Jacksonville. Let's pull this up. Let's go. Boom. Jacksonville Nope, that's the Indianapolis Colts. Jacksonville Nope. Come on. There it is. Most recently, Singletary and Dameon Pierce last week. Dameon Pierce had 14 yards. Singletary, 18 yards on the ground. Derrick Henry the week prior, 38 on the ground. Tyjae Spears, 14 on the ground. The week prior to that, McCaffrey, 95 yards. Great. McCaffrey's a different running back, though, right? The week prior to that, Pittsburgh running backs, Najee Harris, 13. Jalen Warren, 19. The week prior to that, Alvin Kamara, different running back, 62 rushing yards. The week prior to that, Zach Moss, 21. Jonathan Taylor, 19. The week prior to that, James Cook, -4 rushing yards. Damian Harris, 13. Latavius, 6. Since week 5, they're the best run-stopping defense against running backs in terms of rushing statistics. They've only allowed 1 rushing touchdown to an opposing running back since week 4. They've only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns this season as a whole. They are ridiculous. So yes, Mixon he's not on the radar this week. Not on the radar. All right, let's see here. Did you play the Fortnite event? No, I don't play Fortnite. Sorry, Kevin. Sorry to disappoint. I don't play Fortnite. Let's see here. Pete Johnson says Higgins, Pickens, or Thielen. Pick 2. If I'm picking 2, I'm picking Pickens and I'm playing Thielen. Pickens and Thielen. Benching Higgins. Ooh, let's see here. C. Gonzalez says, in a standard, need a running back and a flex. Mixon, Puka, Achane. Also, do I drop any to get Pollard handcuff? Addition, Gabe Davis, Godwin, Watson are available. Okay, wait, hold up. So, let's start a standard flex option. Running back and a flex. Mixon, Puka, Achane. Puka and Achane are the 2 that I play there. Also, do I drop any of them to get a handcuff? No, you don't drop any of them. But technically, no, you don't drop any of them. No. Thank you for the question, though. Dorcher Sutton says David C. It's Sutton. It's Mech. PG says PPR. AJ Dillon or Chuba Hubbard. In a PP, I'd rather play Chuba Hubbard there. Garrett Wilson or Deontay Johnson? Garrett Wilson. Should I keep rocking with, what does it say? Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery double up? Or do I put in Ramondre against LA? No, I double up still. Both of them are going to play well. I have an ESPN league where, yes, I literally have, I have Saquon, I have Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. I've just been doubling up on Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery. I mean, like, Saquon can play in the flex. I mean, obviously he's on bye week, but I also have Zach Moss on that team, which is obviously going to play my flex this week. But yeah, I just double up with them. It's just no point doing otherwise. Joe Estrella says, I have the Ravens and Chiefs defense. Great. Who do I drop after this week and use for the playoffs? I would prefer to keep the Chiefs. The Ravens defense is matchup proof though. But that being said, if I was just playing it off of what I think the potential events are going to take place going forward, I'd most likely just drop the Baltimore Ravens, primarily because they play against Jacksonville, San Francisco, and Miami, and those are not interesting. So after this week, I would rather drop. Yeah, I would drop the Baltimore defense and I would roll with the Chiefs for the remainder of the season, taking on their fantasy playoff schedule of New England, Las Vegas, and Cincinnati, which are fantastic. Why so low on Higgins? It's not a matter of Higgins that I'm not trustful in. It's a matter of I don't trust Jake Browning. And Jake Browning is just, he's not a good enough quarterback to be able to, fantasy-wise, keep more than one wide receiver relevant. Like even last week, Tyler Boyd did nothing. Like it was just Jamar Chase. And even Jamar Chase had 10 points. Like he didn't do anything. So it is tough to trust Jake Browning. That's the issue. Okay, Charlie Rush sends in a question. Thank you, Charlie, for the super chat. Says PPR, starting Kyron Williams, Dell, Pittman, and Mostert. Who do I flex out of Chase, Javonte Williams, Kirk, Dell, Singletary, Rice, Cooper, or Downs. Out of the bunch, I'm playing Tank Dell. Charles. Thank you. Appreciate it. Raymond Brown in the chat was saying, I have Kyler on bye next week. Should I pick up Mayfield, Minshew, Love, or Pickett? Let's see what the schedule looks like next week. Let's go to week 14. So you have Mayfield, Minshew, Love, or Pickett. Okay. So of those available, I like Green Bay against the Giants. So Love is probably first and foremost. Minshew, I don't really trust in comparison. Mayfield takes on where's Mayfield? Atlanta. Don't love that. Could be decent, but I don't love it. And then you have Pickett. Pickett plays against if I'm not mistaken, they play against New England on Thursday. Short week. I don't like Thursday games. I'd play Jordan Love next week. Wait, there's 2 Monday night games next week? Why? Wait, when did they change that? Why are there 2 Monday night games? Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'd rather play Jordan Love versus the Giants. Thank you. Miguel says pick 2 PPR, Ramondre, Zach Moss, Devontae Smith. Assuming Goddard's not active tomorrow, I'd probably go Moss and Smith there. Smith without Dallas Goedert is ridiculously good. We've said it ad nauseum over the course of this last 2-3 weeks here. ESPN printing money, yeah, they might be. Look, that's the thing though. They have 2 Monday night games next week, week 14. They both start at the same time. Wait, what is the point? How am I supposed to watch 2 games at once? There's not even a red zone. I guess I'm pulling a TV in from the other room and I'm watching both. Actually, I'll just watch them on both monitors. That's the best way to do it. Really, that is the best way to do it. Okay, so a couple reminders. Again, tomorrow morning, I'll be back at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be back with rankings on screen, half PPR, top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends, top 12 kickers and defenses. Again, if you guys want my rankings for flex, half PPR, full PPR, all that kind of jazz, all-encompassing rankings, be sure to check out Underdog. Use that code of Andrew, first time deposit minimum of $10. Again, like I mentioned earlier, my favorite plays for the week, by far and away, is that Sam Howell going higher on his overall passing attempts and Michael Pittman Jr. going higher on his overall reception, 6.5 going higher on that. So those are the 2 better plays that obviously that I'd like to go with. Of course, there are other plays that I've suggested. David Montgomery scoring a touchdown, Tyreek Hill scoring a touchdown, Jalen Waddle going over his receiving yards, David Njoku going higher than his reception count. Same thing with Pat Freiermuth. There's a bunch of plays. Check it out. Be responsible, of course, first and foremost. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Raymond Brown says drop Madison to pick up Love. Sure, yeah, you're not going to start Madison for the remainder of the season, are you? Charles Rush says, I sent a super chat, and the first part of my question are my starters. Okay, got it. The second part of my question, I was wondering who to add to the flex. That was my assumption. Yeah, that's what I assumed, Charles. So when you said like Chase, Javonte, Kirk, Dell, Singletary, Cooper, Rice, or Downs, I assumed that I was just picking your flex. And out of those options, I would suggest playing Dell. If you have another additional flex that you can play alongside a Tank Dell, I'd probably end up pushing someone like Singletary into that conversation. But yeah, Tank Dell would be the primary guy there. Because you're already starting Kyron, Dell. Oh, you're already starting Dell. So why is Dell? Okay, so here was the thing. You said Dell twice. That's why it got me confused. So you have Kyron, Pittman, Dell, and Mostert already starting. Got it. So now I understand what's going on. You mentioned Dell twice. So when I read it the first time, it didn't even register. That's why I suggested him, because I thought he was available on the second half of the group because he was in there. Okay, got it. So of the available, now that we have no Dell in this conversation, if you're starting 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a singular flex, and we're looking for a flex, and we're not talking about Dell in this scenario, yeah, it's probably Singletary there. Thank you. Tristan Smith, thank you, Tristan. Says, hope you're having a good day. So far, so good. Again, the day has only just begun. I'll be up for the next 12 hours doing rankings for tomorrow morning. Half PPR, pick 1 for the flex. Achane, Mostert, Puka, or Hall. I'll take Mostert there in a half PPR, very confidently. Starting Dell, Devontae Smith as my wide receivers, Bijan and Eckler. Perfect. I'll play Mostert there. Good to go, Tristan. Thank you. Josh Downs or Hopkins this week feels close. Chris, I was saying it earlier to somebody. I'll take Downs in a full PPR, DeAndre and a half. Let's see here. Greetings. Standard PPR. Need one between Zay or Dortch. Tatum. I would play Dortch there. What's good? Kirk or Cup? Is Denzel Ward actually out this week? Or was that just like a offhand comment from somebody earlier? Because I read it and I was like, I don't know. Let me check here. Denzel Ward is out. Cooper Cup is back on the menu. Okay. I'd probably play Cup over Kirk there. Thank you. Who would you like more, Eagles or Jets defense week 16 and 17? All right, let me pull this up. All right, I got a couple more questions in me, and then I got to go, guys. Appreciate you guys' time. Appreciate you guys' support. Much love, as always. We're looking for week 16 and 17, correct? Let's go to my schedule. Let's isolate week 16 and 17. You were talking about Eagles, and you were talking about who's the other defense? Or Jets. Okay, cool. So Eagles have the Giants and Arizona Cardinals. That's beautiful. Absolutely love that. Or we play the Jets, who play against Washington and Cleveland. I would probably rather play. I'd rather play the Eagles defense at that point. If Rodgers is back, he's actually back, than the Jets, because I think that defense will elevate their game, being like, all right, we can actually win games here. Like we're not, the offense isn't going to 3 and out every time. We're not on the field with zero break. If Rodgers is back, I could justify playing the Jets defense against Cleveland, like in Joe Flacco. But other than that, I'd probably lean towards playing the Giants, or sorry, the Eagles defense. Luke C says Minshew or Love, Ramondre or Montgomery, Juwan Johnson or Gerald Everett, PPR. I'll take Love over Minshew, Montgomery over Ramondre, and Juwan Johnson over Gerald Everett. Thank you. I'd only ever play Gerald Everett ahead of Juwan Johnson if Donald Parham was out. PPR, Flex, Swift, Montgomery, Ridley, Puka, Nico. Who should I swap, if any, for running back for ETN? No, I wouldn't swap anybody for ETN. Stephen K619 says, okay, so of this question, I'd probably end up playing Montgomery and Ridley. Those are the two that, out of the bunch that you mentioned, are probably the best. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and close it out here off that. I do appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Appreciate y'all continuing to, come out here, click the like button, ask questions, answer questions, all that kind of jazz. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 3-hour live stream. Until then, have a great rest of your Saturday. Again, if you want rankings, you can check out the Underdog promotion. Again, link down in the description. Or you can check out Patreon if you've already signed up using somebody else's code, my code in seasons past, or something of that exchange. Of course, Patreon's always available. Or you can always send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter or X, whatever, and you might get lucky. One of these days, I'll check it while I'm on the toilet, and maybe it'll come to fruition. Either way, thank y'all. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cue the double helix, and Andrew's going to go and fix some rankings. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys. Peace. I just realized there was a question that was sent in via Super Chat from Alicia. All right. I'm here. Come back, please. All right. Alicia says half PPR flex. it was perfect timing that Alicia sends in the question as soon as I cue the music. It's crazy. Devontae Smith or HN in a half PPR. I'm here. Wait for delay. I'm answering. Okay, so Devontae Smith or Devon Achane. Devontae Smith would be my suggestion, even in a half PPR scoring format. I'd like to wait and see what Achane can do for a week, and then I'll pivot into, obviously playing someone like Achane in a future circumstance. But for right now, Devontae Smith would be the play in the absence of Goddard. Obviously continues to get himself, I think it's 7 consecutive games of 8+ targets without Goddard in the last 2 seasons. And obviously he's averaging over 13 fantasy points per game in those circumstances, half PPR. So Devontae Smith would be the initial play there. As for your follow-up question, Alicia says, already playing Keenan Allen, Amon-Ra, and the Browns defense, okay? Worth dropping Godwin for the Colts, Rams, or Texans? Okay. For this week, is it... Look, I'd like to keep Godwin primarily because even... Let's say, for example, right? You have 3 pretty good wide receivers. In the future, if you get into a scenario in which one of these wide receivers get hurt, I'd like to have the depth. I don't know if I want to drop... the Rams, Texans, Colts. The Texans defense I don't like against the Broncos this week. The Rams are okay. Don't love them. The Colts are solid, but at this point, between the Colts and the Browns, I think they're relatively close in terms of value. So I don't mind just keeping the Browns. Keep Godwin. I know that the offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers have come out specifically, Brian Canales, and he said, I want to get more utilization out of Godwin. Obviously, he's dealing with a neck injury, so in future weeks, he'll probably be more relevant. But yeah, for right now, I would say keep Godwin, keep it as is, play Devonta Smith. Thank you, Alicia. Greatly appreciate it. Sorry I missed your question at the very last second. Hopefully you're hearing this right now. Much love. Thank you very much. Have a good day, guys. Was my microphone off earlier? I don't even know. Maybe I got to rewind my own stream. I don't even know if I may have muted my microphone and then did a whole response for Alicia. Hold up. I got to rewind my stream now. Now I'm getting paranoid. Hold up. Give me a second, guys. At any point did I answer a question? Okay, no, I was just paranoid. I did answer the question. Okay, the mic was not muted. All right. Anyway. Thanks, guys. Peace.